you have been trained to be comfortable with mediocrity. And this training is the greatest threat to your potential. Society rewards average performance, celebrates small improvements, and tells you that slow progress is still progress. But this mindset is designed to keep you controllable, predictable, and dependent. While you're being grateful for incremental changes and celebrating minor victories, the people who will leave you behind are demanding excellence from themselves, embracing discomfort as growth, and understanding that extraordinary results require extraordinary commitment. Your comfort zone is not protecting you, it's imprisoning you. And the key to your cell is your willingness to do what makes you uncomfortable. There's a young warehouse worker named Isaiah who arrives at work 30 minutes early every day, not to impress his boss, but to study financial reports and business journals in his car. His co-workers think he's crazy for waking up so early. They joke. Isaiah's living in a fantasy world, reading about million-dollar deals while stacking boxes for minimum wage. What they don't see is Isaiah learning the language of business, understanding market trends, and building a network through online forums. 3 years later, when the company needs someone to manage their new logistics division, Isaiah is the only one qualified. Today, he runs a multi-million-dollar supply chain operation. You see, there's something profound happening in that parking lot every morning that most people miss. While Isaiah's colleagues are hitting the snooze button for the third time, he's building his future. While they're complaining about their circumstances, he's creating his escape route. While they're waiting for opportunity to knock, he's constructing the door. This is the first principle of quiet victory. Preparation happens in private, but the results are undeniably public. The world only sees the promotion, the success, the breakthrough moment. They don't see the countless mornings in that car, the sacrificed sleep, the discipline when motivation was nowhere to be found. They see Isaiah running the logistics division and think, lucky guy. But luck had nothing to do with it. Preparation did. Most people operate under a dangerous misconception. They believe that success should be immediate, visible, and celebrated from the very beginning. They want to announce their goals on social media, post their plans, and receive applause for their intentions. But here's what I've learned after years of studying human behavior. The most powerful transformations happen in silence, when you prepare quietly. You eliminate the pressure of external expectations. You remove the need to prove yourself to people who don't even understand your vision. You create space for genuine growth instead of performance. Isaiah didn't need his co-workers' approval to read those business journals. He didn't need their understanding to wake up early. He needed their absence from his preparation process. There's a reason why seeds germinate underground, in darkness, away from the scrutiny of the surface world. If you dug up a seed every day to check its progress, you would kill it. The same principle applies to your dreams, your goals, your transformation. They need the protection of privacy to develop properly. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think quiet preparation means passive waiting. They confuse patience with passivity, silence with stagnation. Isaiah wasn't just sitting in his car daydreaming about success. He was actively learning, deliberately growing, intentionally positioning himself for opportunity. There's a massive difference between being quiet and being still. The marketplace rewards readiness, not visibility. When that logistics position opened up, the company didn't care who had been talking about their ambitions. They cared who had been building their competence. They didn't promote the loudest person in the room. They promoted the most qualified person in the room. And qualification is built in private, through consistent daily choices that nobody applauds. This is why so many people feel frustrated with their progress. They're measuring their success by the wrong metrics. They're counting likes, comments, and external validation instead of counting hours invested, skills developed, and character built. They're focused on appearing successful. The truth is, real preparation is often invisible to the outside world. It looks like failure to people who only measure progress by external circumstances. When Isaiah was stacking boxes by day and studying by night, it looked like he was stuck, like he wasn't moving forward. But every single day, he was becoming more valuable, more knowledgeable, more ready for the opportunity that would eventually come. This is the power of understanding timing. Isaiah didn't know when the logistics position would open up. He didn't know if it would be 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years. But he knew that when it did open up, he would be ready. He understood that preparation is not about guaranteeing specific outcomes, but about positioning yourself to maximize opportunities when they arise. The warehouse workers who mocked Isaiah were operating under the assumption that current circumstances equal permanent reality. They saw someone stacking boxes and concluded that's all he would ever do. But Isaiah understood something they didn't. Your current situation is not your final destination. It's your starting point, your training ground, your preparation phase. Every morning in that parking lot, Isaiah was making a choice. He was choosing growth over comfort, progress over popularity, preparation over procrastination. He was choosing to invest in his future self instead of entertaining his current self. And that choice, multiplied by 1,000 mornings, created the foundation for his transformation. The power of silent preparation is not just about achieving external success. It's about developing the internal strength, confidence, and capability that make you ready for the success when it comes. Isaiah didn't just get promoted because he knew about logistics. He got promoted because he had proven to himself that he was the kind of person who could learn difficult things, who could sacrifice immediate gratification for long-term gain, who could maintain discipline when nobody was watching. This is what separates temporary success from sustainable success. Temporary success comes from external factors, luck, timing, connections, but sustainable success comes from internal development, character, competence, consistency. And internal development happens in private, through quiet preparation when nobody is watching and nobody is applauding. The question is not whether you have the potential for success. The question is whether you have the patience for preparation. Are you willing to do the work when it's invisible? Are you willing to grow when nobody notices? Are you willing to become before you achieve? Because that's where real power lies, in the quiet moments when you're building the foundation for your eventual breakthrough. Now let me tell you about Elena, a night shift security guard at a prestigious law firm. Every evening, while the lawyers went home to their families, Elena walked the empty halls with her flashlight and keys. The attorneys barely acknowledged her existence during the day. To them, she was just another invisible worker in a uniform. But Elena had a secret. During those quiet night hours, she wasn't just checking doors and windows. She was listening to legal podcasts through her earpiece, studying law books she borrowed from the firm's library, and taking online courses on her phone during breaks. For 2 years, Elena studied contract law, corporate governance, and legal procedures while everyone else slept. She learned the language of justice while protecting the halls of justice. When the firm needed a paralegal for a major case, they posted the position externally. Never thinking to look within their own building, Elena applied under her full name, Elena Rodriguez, not as the security guard, but as a qualified candidate. She got the job. And 6 months later, she was promoted to senior paralegal. The same lawyers who once walked past her without a second glance now sought her expertise on complex cases. This is the art of strategic invisibility, and it's one of the most powerful tools you can master. When people underestimate you, they stop watching you. When they stop watching you, they stop limiting you. When they stop limiting you, you become free to transform without interference. Elaine understood something that most people miss. Being overlooked is not a disadvantage, it's an opportunity. While visible people face scrutiny, judgment, and interference, invisible people face freedom. They have the liberty to experiment, to fail, to learn, and to grow without the pressure of constant evaluation. But here's the critical distinction. Elena wasn't truly invisible. She was strategically invisible. She wasn't hiding from responsibility or avoiding challenges. She was using her position below the radar to build capabilities that would eventually make her indispensable. There's a massive difference between being overlooked and being forgotten, between being underestimated and being undervalued. The lawyers at that firm made a classic mistake. They confused job title with human potential. They saw security guard and stopped seeing the person. They saw the uniform and stopped seeing the mind. They saw the present role and stopped seeing the future possibility. This blindness, this inability to see beyond current circumstances, is what creates opportunities for those who understand strategic invisibility. Elena didn't waste energy fighting for recognition in her security role. She didn't demand respect or insist on being seen. Instead, she used her invisibility as a cloak under which she could build her legal expertise. She understood that the best time to build your skills is when nobody is measuring your progress, when nobody is setting expectations, when nobody is telling you what you can't do. This is why strategic invisibility is so powerful. It removes the limitation of other people's imagination. When you're visible, people project their own limitations onto you. They tell you what's possible based on their own experience, their own fears, their own narrow vision. But when you're invisible, you escape those projections. You become free to exceed everyone's expectations, including your own. Elena's transformation wasn't just about learning law. It was about learning to see herself differently. Every night as she walked those halls with her law books, she was practicing a different identity. She was rehearsing being a legal professional before she had the title. She was thinking like a paralegal while working as a security guard. She was becoming the person she needed to be before she got the position she wanted. A brilliant part of Elena's strategy was that she never announced her intentions. She never told the lawyers about her studies. She never asked for their opinion about her career change. She simply prepared in silence and presented herself when the opportunity arose. This is the power of letting your results speak instead of your intentions. Most people do the opposite. They announce their goals before they've done the work. They seek validation before they've created value. They want recognition before they've earned it. But Elena understood that premature visibility can kill your dreams. When you announce your transformation too early, you invite doubt, criticism, and interference from people who don't understand your vision. Strategic invisibility also protected Elena from the dream killers. The people who would have told her that security guards don't become paralegals, that she was being unrealistic, that she should be grateful for what she had. By staying invisible during her preparation phase, she avoided the negative voices that could have discouraged her journey. The beauty of strategic invisibility is that it creates what I call the sudden success illusion. To the outside world, Elena's promotion seemed to happen overnight. One day she was a security guard, the next day she was a paralegal. But Elena knew the truth. Success is never sudden. It's always the result of sustained effort over time. The only thing that's sudden is the moment when your private preparation meets public opportunity. This is why you must protect your preparation phase. Guard it jealously. Don't let everyone have access to your transformation process. Don't feel obligated to explain your journey to people who can't see your destination. Use your invisibility as a shield while you build the skills, knowledge, and confidence that will eventually make you impossible to ignore. Meet Thomas, a young entrepreneur who launched his first tech startup with great fanfare. He raised money, hired employees, and confidently predicted success within 6 months. 18 months later, the company collapsed spectacularly. Thomas lost everything: his savings, his investors' money, and his reputation. His former business partners avoided him at networking events. His family questioned his judgment. His friends suggested he get a real job. Everyone thought Thomas was finished. But Thomas made a decision that separated him from the countless entrepreneurs who never recover from failure. Instead of running from his mistakes, he ran toward them. He spent the next year dissecting every decision that led to his company's downfall. He interviewed his former employees, studied his failed competitors, and analyzed successful companies in his industry. He worked night shifts at a call center to pay his bills while spending his days learning from his failure. Thomas didn't just study business theory. He studied his own psychology. He examined why he had made certain decisions, why he had ignored red flags, why he had been so confident when he should have been cautious. He turned his failure into a laboratory and himself into both the scientist and the experiment. This is the truth about failure that most people never understand. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the raw material of success, but only if you know how to process it correctly. Most people treat failure like a disease to be cured quickly and forgotten forever. But wise people treat failure like a gold mine to be explored thoroughly and mined completely. Thomas understood that his failure contained information that no business school could teach him. It contained insights about market dynamics, customer behavior, team management, and decision-making that he could only learn through real-world experience. His failure was expensive, but it was also priceless. The question was whether he would extract the value from that expensive education. While Thomas was quietly studying his mistakes, the business world had written him off. Former colleagues who once sought his advice now treated him like a cautionary tale. Investors who once courted him now avoided his calls. The media that once featured him as a young entrepreneur to watch now ignored him completely. He had become invisible, not by choice but by circumstance. But Thomas turned this forced invisibility into strategic advantage. Without the pressure of public expectations, he could take the time to truly understand what had gone wrong. Without the noise of external opinions, he could hear the lessons his failure was trying to teach him. Without the distraction of maintaining his image, he could focus on rebuilding his competence. The call center job was crucial to Thomas's transformation. It wasn't just paying his bills. It was teaching him humility. It was showing him what it felt like to be an employee again, to follow someone else's rules, to do work that didn't directly feed his ego. This experience gave him perspective on leadership that he had never had as a founder. It taught him to value every role in an organization, not just the glamorous ones. After 2 years of study, analysis, and honest work, Thomas launched his second company. This time, there was no fanfare, no bold predictions, no media attention. He started small, grew carefully, and made decisions based on hard-won wisdom rather than blind optimism. His second company succeeded because his first company failed. His victory was quiet because his preparation was thorough. The people who had written Thomas off were shocked by his comeback. They called it a miracle, a stroke of luck, a surprising turn of events. But Thomas knew the truth. There was nothing miraculous about it. His success was the logical result of treating failure as education rather than devastation. He had simply done what most people refused to do. He had learned from his mistakes instead of being defeated by them. This is why failure is not your enemy. It's your teacher. But like any teacher, it only helps those who are willing to listen, to learn, and to apply the lessons. Thomas listened carefully, learned thoroughly, and applied wisely. That's why he won quietly the second time. What Isaiah discovered in that parking lot, what Elena learned during her night shifts, and what Thomas understood through his failure was this fundamental truth. Small actions, repeated consistently over time, create results that seem impossible to those who only see the end product. This is the compound effect. And it's the secret weapon of every quiet winner. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and underestimate what they can accomplish in a year. They want massive results from minimal effort. They want transformation without discipline. They want the harvest without the planting, the watering, the weeding, and the waiting. But compound growth doesn't work that way. When Isaiah read those business journals for 30 minutes each morning, he wasn't just gaining knowledge, he was building a habit of learning. When Eleanor studied law during her security rounds, she wasn't just memorizing legal concepts. She was developing the discipline of consistent improvement. When Thomas analyzed his failure for months, he wasn't just gathering information, he was creating a pattern of thoughtful reflection. These small daily actions seemed insignificant at the time. 30 minutes of reading, an hour studying, a few minutes of reflection. But these tiny investments, compounded over time, created extraordinary results. This is why consistency beats intensity every single time. The world celebrates intensity because it's visible, dramatic, and exciting. People love the story of the overnight success, the sudden breakthrough, the dramatic transformation. But the truth is, most breakthroughs are the result of consistent daily actions that nobody notices until they reach a tipping point. Think about compound interest in your bank account. If you save $1 today, it doesn't change your life. If you save $1 every day for a year, you have $365. Still not life-changing. But if you save $1 every day for 30 years, and that dollar earns compound interest, you could have tens of thousands of dollars. The magic isn't in the dollar. The magic is in the consistency over time. The same principle applies to your skills, your knowledge, your relationships, and your character. Small improvements, repeated consistently, create extraordinary results. But here's the challenge. The results are invisible for most of the journey. You don't see the progress daily. You don't feel dramatically different each morning. This is why most people quit before the compound effect has time to work. I say I didn't feel smarter after reading business journals for a week. Alina didn't feel like a legal expert after studying law for a month. Thomas didn't feel like a better entrepreneur after analyzing his failure for 6 months. The compound effect requires faith in the progress when you can't see the progress. But here's what separates the winners from the quitters. Winners understand that the compound effect is not just about accumulating knowledge or skills, it's about building identity. Every time Isaiah chose to read instead of sleep, he was becoming the kind of person who prioritizes growth over comfort. Every time Elena chose to study instead of scroll through social media, she was becoming the kind of person who invests in her future. Every time Thomas chose to analyze instead of blame, he was becoming the kind of person who learns from setbacks. The compound effect builds more than external success. It builds internal strength. It builds the confidence that comes from knowing you can stick to commitments when nobody is watching. It builds the character that comes from choosing long-term gain over short-term pleasure. It builds the wisdom that comes from understanding that real power lies in consistent daily choices, not dramatic one-time events. This is why consistent action is the bridge between dreaming and achieving. Dreams without daily action remain fantasies, but dreams supported by consistent daily action become inevitable realities. The compound effect makes the impossible possible, but only for those who have the patience to plant today what they want to harvest tomorrow. Let me tell you about Victoria, a single mother working 2 jobs to support her family. Every morning at 5 o'clock, while her children slept, Victoria sat at her kitchen table with her laptop, teaching herself graphic design through online tutorials. She had no formal training, no college degree, no connections in the creative industry. She had only determination and a burning desire to create a better life for her family. For months, Victoria's designs were terrible. Her color choices clashed. Her layouts looked amateur. Her typography was awkward. But she kept practicing, kept learning, kept improving. She spent her lunch breaks at her first job sketching logos on napkins. She spent her evening breaks at her second job watching design videos on her phone. She turned every spare moment into a learning opportunity. Her family didn't understand her obsession. Her mother said she was wasting time that could be spent resting. Her friends said she was being unrealistic about her artistic abilities. Her children complained that she was always distracted, always working on something they didn't understand. Victoria began to doubt herself. Maybe they were right. Maybe she was fooling herself. But Victoria had made a commitment to herself in that kitchen at 5 in the morning. She had promised herself that she would not let her current circumstances define her future possibilities. She would not let other people's limited vision limit her potential. She would keep working, keep learning, keep growing, whether anyone believed in her or not. After 8 months of daily practice, Victoria created her first decent design. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough to show someone. She posted it on a freelance website, pricing it lower than her competitors because she knew she was still learning. She got her first client, a small business owner who needed a simple logo. The payment was modest, but it was proof that her skills had value. Victoria didn't announce her success on social media. She didn't quit her day jobs. She didn't tell her family that she was now a professional designer. She simply took the money, completed the project to the best of her ability, and went back to her kitchen table at 5 the next morning to keep learning. Slowly, quietly, Victoria's reputation grew. One satisfied client referred her to another. One good project led to a bigger opportunity. She began earning more from her design work than from her 2 traditional jobs. But she still didn't make any announcements. She still didn't change her routine. She still woke up at 5 to practice her craft. 2 years after she started, Victoria was earning 6 figures as a freelance designer. She was working with major corporations, designing marketing campaigns, creating brand identities. She had built a sustainable business that allowed her to work from home, spend time with her children, and provide financial security for her family. But here's what made Victoria's victory truly remarkable. She had done it all without fanfare, without drama, without seeking attention or validation from others. Victoria's success was quiet, but it was also unshakable. She hadn't built her business on hype or luck or connections. She had built it on competence, consistency, and character. She had earned every client through excellent work, not clever marketing. She had developed her skills through disciplined practice, not natural talent. She had created her opportunities through persistent effort, not perfect circumstances. This is the difference between loud success and quiet success. Loud success is often fragile because it depends on external factors, market conditions, public opinion, other people's support. But quiet success is durable because it's built on internal factors, your skills, your character, your consistent daily choices. Victoria's victory also had a profound impact on her family. Her children, who had once complained about her constant studying, now saw what dedication and persistence could accomplish. They watched their mother transform from someone who felt trapped by circumstances into someone who created her own opportunities. They learned that success isn't about where you start, it's about what you do with where you are. Her mother, who had criticized Victoria's unrealistic dreams, now bragged about her daughter's success to everyone in the neighborhood. Her friends, who had discouraged her artistic pursuits, now asked for advice about starting their own businesses. Victoria's quiet victory had become a source of inspiration and possibility for everyone around her. But Victoria remained humble. She didn't forget the struggles, the doubts, the early morning sessions when she questioned whether she was wasting her time. She didn't forget the people who had discouraged her, not because she wanted to hold grudges, but because she wanted to remember how it felt to be underestimated. She used that memory to fuel her compassion for others who were struggling to transform their lives. Victoria's story reveals the ultimate truth about quiet victory. It's not just about achieving your goals. It's about who you become in the process. The skills Victoria developed were valuable, but the character she built was priceless. The money she earned was significant, but the confidence she gained was transformational. The business she created was successful, but the example she set for her children was generational. This is why quiet victory is superior to loud victory. Loud victory might get you temporary recognition, but quiet victory gets you permanent transformation. Loud victory might impress others, but quiet victory changes you. Loud victory might be celebrated today, but quiet victory creates a legacy that lasts. When you win quietly, you don't just achieve success, you become successful. You don't just reach your goals, you develop the capacity to set and achieve bigger goals. You don't just solve your current problems, you build the character to handle whatever challenges come next. The greatest victories in life are not announced with trumpets, but whispered through transformed lives, changed circumstances, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you did the work when nobody was watching. Victoria's victory was quiet, but its impact was thunderous. It changed not just her life, but the lives of everyone who witnessed what's possible when you commit to consistent daily action toward a worthy goal. This is your invitation. Stop waiting for permission. Stop seeking validation. Stop making excuses. Start doing the work. Start building the skills. Start becoming the person you need to be to achieve the life you want to live. Do it quietly. Do it consistently. And do it with the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing that quiet victories are the most powerful victories of all.